What's up, guys? I'm EJ. I'm joined by Kendall, wrapping up our NBA draft grades with the Southwest Division. Let's begin, Kendall, with the San Antonio Spurs. Kendall, they had picks number 11 and 41. With 11, they took Devin Vassell at Florida State, and at 41, they took the Duke point guard Trey Jones. I gave the Spurs a B plus here. I thought that the Devin Vassell pick made sense given where the draft broke. I'm sure there was definitely intrigue probably with Tyrese Halliburton that he had fell that far. I think for them, they probably wondered, given the guard that they had, did it make sense to take another point guard? So I understood Vassell. The guy is a great defensive player. Truly a guy who can kind of erase people on the wing. So adding him, we'll see what his jump shot is. The guy shot well in college. I don't know what that practice video we saw a couple of weeks ago was, but I saw a funny comment in our comment section. One of our other videos said that Pop had told him to put out that video, said he'd fall to 11, and now I'm like, oh well,
No.
I was like, maybe they're ahead of something I don't think about because that's
Yeah,
true. Why
man.
why was he shooting like that? Because it definitely did not make him look good. But then he ended up being in the perfect situation with a great organization. So anyway, so yeah, no, I thought the Vassell pick was good. They need more help on the wing, and he's an excellent defender, so they'll have use for him. And then speaking of defense, man, you want to talk about someone else who erases people? Trey Jones erases people, and he's a guard. And again, they have some guards, but they are going to lose a couple of guys. They may lose Bryn Forbes. Forbes not necessarily, Jones not a shooter like Bryn Forbes is, but I mean, or Jones is just an absolute pit bull. So, I mean, to me, anybody who got him in the second round, I think that he's going to fit in the NBA. I think that he could be a Patrick Beverly type of player. So I like that pick as well. So good night for the Spurs. I give him a B plus.
Look, so obviously Greg Popovich has a great relationship with Coach K, so I think that also may have helped with the Trey Jones thing. But Devin Vassell is, so I'll go. It's tough. I'll go C with the Spurs. And that may sound a little harsh.
Wow, that does. I think that is harsh. But go.
Yeah,
Let's
it
see
may
what you guys
sound a
say.
little harsh. Maybe C plus, but I'll go C. I think it's not it's not because I don't like the players. It's not even that I don't like the fits. It's more so, again, the way the board was starting to shake out. I would have maybe liked to have seen them been a little more aggressive in trying to get up into this draft. I feel like Popovich kind of reminds me of Belichick in a lot of ways, obviously, but particularly, the way he kind of drafts, the way he's drafted recently, and the Spurs have drafted recently, it's been a lot of safer picks. Dejounte Murray was the one that was kind of a risk or kind of a swing, and it worked out late in the first round. But they've taken a lot of guys that are going to be really good role players. I think Vassell and Trey Jones are going to be really good role players, but it doesn't really take them out of the quote unquote no man's land that we talked about in the War Room video. And maybe some Spurs fans feel like they're not in no man's land. Maybe Pop doesn't feel like they're in no man's land. And I think the only way this makes sense to me, this draft, is if they have surmised that they can't beat fire. You can't beat fire with fire, and you gotta have the best defensive lineup you can have if you want to compete in the Western Conference against some of these guards. And getting Vassell and Trey Jones are, I would say, two of the top 4 or 5 defenders in the draft, particularly on the perimeter. So I mean, you always want to find guys with elite skills, and these guys have it. Particularly Trey Jones. I think Vassell has one of the best two-way prospects in this draft. So I like it from that regard. It's just not my philosophy of drafting in 2020. It's drafting two really good
Yeah.
role players.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the highest the Spurs have drafted since Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
It's the first time they draft, and they get a guy that, look, maybe he's another Kawhi Leonard where they develop into a terrific defensive player and his offense really blossoms. But um, I don't know. Trey Jones. I really like Trey Jones, and I think he does have upside to be their starting point guard, their point guard of the future. His jump shot's not all there yet, but neither was Tony Parker. But defensively, he's obviously an elite defensive player, and I think his playmaking he's not as fluid and as smooth with the ball as his brother, but he's a very heady floor general in his own right. So I like the Trey Jones pick. Vassell, I would have liked to have seen them been more aggressive at getting maybe Denny Avdia, who I think could be a real like best player, franchise player kind of guy. but it's still, I'll go C. Not an awful draft, but a little disappointing, to me if I'm a Spurs fan. But it is what it is.
Let's go to the Pelicans, Kendall. So New Orleans, bear with me, a little bit of a confusing situation here. So they did have the 13th pick. They took Kyrie Lewis, the speed demon out of Alabama. They traded the 24th pick for a future first. They then traded the 39th pick for a future second, and they traded 42 for a future second, and traded 60 for Drew Holiday. 60 and Drew Holiday for 3 future firsts, 2 pick swaps, and then they also got Bledsoe and George Hill out of that deal. So they could have had a million picks in this draft. They ended up only having 1, given how they maneuvered the situation. But I gave them a B plus because yes, they only took 1 player in this draft, but I think they maximized their value for the future, and that's what this team is looking at. I think with Kyrie Lewis, this is a team that's going to get up and run. Even though Gentry is gone, and yes, you do have Stan Van Gundy, I still think that the style of play shouldn't change. This is a team that still needs to get up and down with Zion Williamson, with Lonzo Ball, with Ingram, and the guys they got. So adding another guy with some speed, a guy who can get into the paint, and a little bit more of a scoring threat than someone like Lonzo Ball, who we know is much more of a passer. So I think even though both guys get up and down the court with speed, still have a change of pace in regards to one guy can actually look to score more maybe than the way Ball does. So I thought Kyrie Lewis was a good pick. I think flipping Drew Holiday for 3 first-round picks and then getting some pick swaps out of it, and we still don't know what the situation is with. I guess we'll figure out what the situation is with Giannis and whether or not he resigns. So they maximized their value in this draft. They did a good job, so I'm giving them a B plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll go B plus as well. The Drew Holiday haul is great. I wouldn't. The B plus is particularly for the Kyrie Lewis pick. I'm not the biggest Kyrie Lewis fan, but I actually do really like the fit in New Orleans. Like you said, this is a team that playing with Lonzo Ball and playing with Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, like that team's gonna get up and down. And Kyrie Lewis is the fastest point guard in the draft. Going to be one of the 5 fastest players in the league, from day one. We always talk about finding elite skills, when it comes to evaluating these prospects and, or elite traits. And Kyrie Lewis has an elite trait, one of the few guys in this draft that does. And he's going to come in and be a top 5 guy in the NBA when it comes to, speed and twitch, so that is to his credit. And the Pelicans are very confident in their development program. Our brother Henry, can't stop talking about Fred Vincent. He's a Pelicans fan, obviously, and he can't stop talking about Fred Vincent and the job he's done as a shooting coach with guys like Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, and there's confidence that Kyrie Lewis in that program could end up being a really good shooter. And if that's the final piece, obviously he needs to work on finishing at the basket as well. To me, worst case scenario, he's a Darren Collison like point guard, which is fine, not a starter in my opinion, but there is upside to where he could end up being the best point guard in the draft. And I'm not the biggest Kyrie Lewis fan, but he's not necessarily going to be thrown into the fire because they have a lot of guards already. But I think in due time he could be an excellent fit playing with Zion and these guys.
Let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. So the Grizzlies traded 2 future second-round picks for Desmond Bane. They also traded a future second-round pick and number 40 for Xavier Tillman. I gave the Grizzlies an A-. I thought they did a great job. You know how much I love Desmond Bane. And you know how much I like Xavier Tillman. And, boy, you tell me 2 guys who fit the grit and grind feel for the Memphis Grizzlies. Man, did they grab them, to me, in the late first round, the early second round with Tillman and Bane. Bane, I think, criminally underrated in this draft.
Well, first of all, he fits grit and grind just by the name.
Yeah, his name is Desmond Bane. Come on. And, I think Tillman, too, and Xavier, they all got sound like, rough and tumble kind of dudes anyway. But Bane, I think he's a criminally underrated player in this draft. There are very few guys, I think, at the 2-guard spot that have his legitimate knockdown three-point ability and playmaking skills and defense. I don't know how that guy becomes the 30th pick the only way, he's a senior, so maybe feel like, okay, he's a little older. Where's the upside? I don't know, man. In a draft that's so many question marks, it confuses me that he fell that far. But the Grizzlies, I think, were smart to be aggressive. I mean, they were not near that spot at all, and they decided, no, we're gonna just, get rid of 2 future second round picks so we can get this guy because he fits exactly what they need. I talked about Jordan. We talked Jordan Nwora for this team, who I think also Jay Scrub. I mean, I think those would have been good fits too at 40 or 35. But I mean, they got into the first round and went with a guy who I think even fits better than those guys do. So really good job on that part. And Xavier Tillman, there is a little bit of a logjam in the front court. So, that's why I couldn't give them an A, because my thing is I love Tillman and the fit, and I think he's going to fit right in with that locker room, his maturity. But, you got Grant, you got Jackson, you got Valanciunas, you got Clark, and you got Gorgie Jang, who's played for them. So, where
Anthony Tolliver.
Well, I think something happened with Anthony Tolliver. I don't know if they traded him or something happened. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
But anyway, So my thing is, though, they have a lot of guys in the front court. So does this give them flexibility to move one of those guys, or you just putting them on the team and you're developing and making them a guy, maybe a 2-way deal. I don't know, but that was the only thing, the Tillman thing. I love the fit, but just my question is where does he get any time for them? I don't think he plays for them next year, and he's already kind of older. So that was the only question for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go B+ here. I do like the aggressiveness, getting guys, trading into the first round. I mean, again, we talked about them at 40, and we really didn't talk much about them trying to get into the first round. But the Celtics were always a team that seemed like they weren't going to take 3 rookies, or 4, and they ended up with 2 and a stash guy. So it makes sense that they wanted to trade in. And Desmond Bane, it fits the kind of player we talked about they needed to bring in. You needed to get another shooter, another irrational confidence guy next to Dylan Brooks on the wing. And Desmond Bane plays with a lot of energy, a lot of heart, and is a lights out shooter. So it's a great fit, and he defends, which so you don't lose anything on that end. And Xavier Tillman is one of the best defensive bigs in this draft. So again, the grit and grind mentality. Anytime you're coming from Michigan State, you're automatically a grit and grind guy. I don't care who you are, what your name is. Tom Izzo, doesn't allow you to leave the program until you are a grit and grind.
I tell you what, I know the Memphis Tigers play in the same arena, but it does truly feel like Michigan State would be kind of the grooming ground, so to speak, for the grit and grind culture of the Memphis Grizzlies. We haven't seen too many guys go. What we did with Zach Randolph is like the Godfather, honestly. I was saying we haven't many guys. So, I mean, and when you think about it, it's a perfect symbiotic blend. He's the Godfather.
He helped grow Izzo's program. He helped grow the Grizzlies.
Exactly. So that makes a lot of sense when you think about that relationship.
It all starts with Vibo.
Exactly. So, shout out to Zach Randolph.
Yeah, man. Xavier Tillman will certainly come in. I think he's going to play on this team. He's not my favorite big in this draft, but he'll play on this team particularly, given his defensive prowess. And this team is not going to be easy to score on. Justice Winslow, you added Xavier Tillman, you've got Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson, and it feels like they're going to play a little bit like the Sixers in 2000, where you just have a really dynamic guard and a lot of great defensive players around that guy. It'll be interesting to see what the Grizzlies look like next year. But they're going to put a lot on the shoulders of Ja Morant offensively, but defensively it's going to be a hard team to score on.
Let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks, Kendall. So they had pick number 18. They took Josh Green with that pick, the Aussie forward who played at Arizona last year. At 31, they went with Tyrell Terry, the sharpshooter from Stanford. And then they also made a trade as well. They traded Seth Curry, and in return they got Josh Richardson and Tyler Bay, who they took at 36. This was a good night for the Mavericks. I'm gonna give them an A- for this night. The Josh Green pick, that was someone I targeted with them for in our War Room series. So I think he's a great fit next to playing with Luka Doncic. I think he's gonna get a lot of easy, backdoor cuts. I think you're going to see some lobs. I think you're going to be able to get him also some wide open three looks. So I think the Josh Green fit was perfect. And then he has the defensive potential and the athleticism that they needed to grow on the wing. So Green, I love the pick. They traded Seth Curry, meaning you needed more shooting. You got maybe the best shooter in the draft in Tyrell Terry. Certainly one of the best shooters in the draft. A guy who I thought had first round grade. You got him in the second round. They're gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt them losing Seth Curry because the guy is, he's as dynamite a shooter as
he's one of the
NBA.
5 best shooters in the league, probably.
Yeah, and he's automatic, and he's ready to play. You're replacing him with a young player, and will he be ready to play to the level of Steph Curry? We'll see. But I think certainly very highly of Tyrell Terry, and I think that he, in theory, should be a great fit next to Luka Doncic, and get him in the second round. I think it's tremendous value. Josh Richardson's gonna help. They need more defense again. He's not as good a shooter as Curry, but I think he can make shots, and without the pressure of having to be the 3-point shooter on the team like he was in Philly, I think that you'll see him shoot the ball better in Dallas. The only thing I was not as crazy about was Tyler Bay at 36, which is why I couldn't go higher than A-. Bay felt a little redundant with Green. I know they need as much defense as possible, but I don't know. Maybe I would have went with a big in that spot. Xavier Tillman was a pick above them. Maybe he I think he would have been really perfect there. You lose him, maybe you get Bay. And Bay's maybe a shorter kind of version of Tillman in some ways, but I don't know. To me, he projects as a 3-4. You drafted Josh Green. I don't know if we needed that pick, so I'm gonna keep them at an A-.
Yeah, I'm gonna go A for the Dallas Mavericks. I think they had one of the best nights of the draft. Josh Green, one of my favorite prospects in this draft in terms of value. If you told me that Josh Green, especially now in Dallas, it ends up being better than Isaac Okoro, I would not be surprised. And Isaac Okoro went, number 5. So that's excellent value for the Dallas Mavericks. I talk about spiritual successors with these drafts, and he seems like he's the spiritual successor to Shawn Marion, in Dallas. So it feels like it may end up being a really good fit with him in Dallas. And they're really starting to complete the all international team. They're talking about adding Gallo and all this stuff, and so I'll give them a lot of credit. Obviously, they're really trying hard to turn this into the NBA international team. But I really like the Tyrell Terry pick. Just the value is incredible. When you have a guy that I would have been fine with taking for the Celtics at 14, and you get him at 31. It's just excellent value. He's one of the best shooters in the draft, maybe the best shooter. Some would argue, some think he may be a little overrated as a shooter. I do not. Again, excellent fit. There is a little bit of the people talk about Trae Young and Steph Curry. Even if he's Patty Mills, that's excellent value and it's a great fit for what the Dallas Mavericks do. And he feels like a guy that will play even better in that system. It's going to go up and down, and it's going to encourage him to shoot threes. Rick Carlisle's not going to put a muzzle on Tyrell Terry. That was the concern coming out for Luka Doncic was, hopefully he doesn't go to a coach that kind of puts him in a box and, doesn't let him be him. And Rick Carlisle saw him from day one and was like, no, he's the best player on the team. He can really honestly do whatever he wants. Tyrell Terry, hopefully Carlisle has that same mindset because he will not be the best player on the team because Luka Doncic exists, but he will be one of the more talented offensive players on that team probably from day one. So hopefully he gets the freedom to play. And I actually like the Tyler Bay pick. I think the Josh Richardson, Seth Curry thing's a little bit of a wash in terms of the player. Richardson gives you more defense, but Bay kind of gives you a little bit of what you lost with Dwight Powell going down last year. And so I think they feel like they need more. They need another. They have Finney Smith and they have Maxi Kleber, but I think they feel like they want more guys that are switchable, interchangeable defensively. And now this is a team that you look at and you say the weaknesses aren't really. I talked about going in. They need to add more strengths. They need to make their strength a strength, and they kind of did that by bringing in Tyrell Terry. But they also lost Seth Curry. but they also then made their weaknesses better by bringing in guys like Josh Green and Bay and Richardson. So I'm gonna give them an A. It's an interesting. It was a more eventful night than I expected for the Mavericks, but it really turned out well.
Let's wrap up these draft grades with the Houston Rockets. Boy, you want to talk about a team that's in turmoil and transition. So they traded the 16th pick and Trevor Ariza for a future Pistons first round pick. That 16th pick again ended up being Isaiah Stewart. They also traded a future second for KJ Martin at 52. Kenyon Martin Jr. For those who know Kmart, a former NBA player. I believe he's from Texas as well. I gave the
Is he from Texas? I know he plays here.
No, I'm talking about Kmart.
Oh,
Senior.
Kmart,
Senior
right.
Senior is from Texas. I don't know. I know KJ. Played in California.
KJ Martin, man, that dude, he's from Southern California.
No, I know. I'm talking about his pops. His pops was from Texas. Right. For a grade here, I'm going C-. I thought that this was. I don't know what the Rockets are doing. I mean, I will say that the Covington trade that got them the first, I was like, wow, that's really good. Trading that and then Trevor Ariza for a future first from the Pistons. I mean, to me, as you said a bunch of times in these videos, all right, you're in the, you look like you're in the Cade Cunningham sweepstakes because, I mean, the Rockets, because the Rockets, they considering what may happen, I mean, they may need help now, and they just punted on the draft pretty much. I wasn't sure about that. The Pistons, I don't think they're gonna be turning it around, tomorrow. So that can end up being a pretty high pick, but man, I don't know. That seemed a little weird to me. And then the reason why I think I wasn't gonna kill that move, but the move that I thought was really more weird was KJ Martin. I don't know. Cassius Stanley was right there, man. And to me, Cassius Stanley, you coming out of high school, both these guys were high school players at one point. I don't know any
on the same team at Sierra Canyon.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's taking KJ Martin over Cassius Stanley. Anybody. I'm happy KJ Martin got drafted. He took a risk on himself, and it paid off. So credit where credit is due. Him and his pops, they had the right game plan. They got him ready, and he got drafted. So I'm happy for him for that. But considering they could have had a guy like KJ Martin, Cassius Stanley, just 2 picks below them. That I thought was not a good job by the Rockets. So I'm giving them a C-.
Yeah, I know. A lot of these videos, DJ, you've been Mr. Nice Guy with these picks. I'm going D. I think you're being a little too nice on the Rockets, man. you're the nice professor. I'm the mean one that throws out a lot of F grades. I'm gonna go D with this pick. I will go F because that's just KJ Martin's not that bad. I actually like KJ Martin a little bit. I'm glad he got drafted because he's a really I like his moxie. He plays hard. He plays with a swagger that he carries a lot with his name. And he plays with that confidence. And a lot of high school recruiting outlets and stuff really didn't see it with KJ Martin, but I actually thought he was a little undervalued coming out of high school. And like you said, he bet on himself and he really worked on his game. So credit to him. I don't really get the trade. I'm not sure what year that Pistons pick. I was trying to find the year, but I don't know really if it matters. This team needs players. They need, we did a whole War Room video. I'm kind of mad that we did that Rockets War Room video because we did the video thinking, oh, well, now they're in the lottery, and then they trade the pick. I'm like, okay, so never mind. Yeah, so and in that video I talked about, maybe late second round in the original video that we didn't release. Talked about maybe looking at a guy Marcus Howard who didn't get drafted. I mean, they took KJ Martin. I guess he's an upside guy. You see what you have in him. Marcus Howard. Clearly, they're not trying to win. That's the impression. You trade Robert Covington for a pick that you then trade for a later pick means that you just basically cut Robert Covington. He's just not on the roster. You didn't replace him. So James Harden, I don't know what they're going to do there, but right now I'm giving them a D. I agree. The Cassius Stanley thing, Jay Scrubb, they were better players on the board just from an upside talent perspective.
And they had a lot of favorites for me. You talk about, I mentioned Stanley. To me, if you're going to go wing
Reggie
guy,
Perry.
That was obvious. Reggie Perry, Paul Reed, Grant Riller, Sam Merrill, all guys I would have taken ahead of KJ Martin. Again, it's no diss to him. I'm really happy he got drafted because again, I really believe, I believe in the model that him and his dad put together to get him drafted. So credit where credit is due, but boy, they passed up on a lot of EJ faves to take Kenyon Martin. I wouldn't have done it. It couldn't have been me. So combine that with whatever they did with the whole first round pick. And again, lost a night of sleep, by the way, putting that together because of them making that trade. So thanks, Houston Rockets. So yeah, no, that I am being maybe a little nice considering I only gave him a C minus whatever I gave him, but yeah, no, that was C. That was a bad job by them. But that's gonna do it.
You did give him a C minus.
Yeah, C minus. Yeah, I gave him a C minus.
I was like, wow.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for our NBA draft grades. So hope you guys enjoyed the draft content we gave you guys for this year.
2021 starts.
I know, yeah. We pretty much turned the page, and I'm sure we'll have some maybe some preview content for what you think the rookies are gonna do. The season is just like right around the corner. It's crazy how all this is working out. But for all those guys who have subscribed to the channel because of our draft content and have been following us, really appreciate the support and thank you guys. All the comments of praise and appreciation, we read all of them. I read all of them certainly, and I really appreciate you guys sticking around with us. And make sure you stick around because we're gonna have more content throughout the year. 2021 is gonna be a great one. We're gonna make sure we have more content for you guys. So thank you. For Kendall, I'm EJ. Take it easy, guys. Peace.